Welcome to the Family Banking Show with your hosts Rob, Derek, and John, where we dive into the world of the infinite banking concept and discuss personal banking strategies to secure your legacy and build generational wealth. We're glad you're here, and we hope this episode serves you well.
If you're interested in learning more about setting up your own family banking system, send an email to thefamilybankingshow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Family Banking Show. We are your hosts, Derek, Rob, and John. Guys, how are you this week?
Good. How you guys doing?
Oh man, it's perfect outside. Perfect outside. Just went on a walk this morning and it was like 58, sunny, breezy, birds are singing. Like May in Minnesota, like why would anyone leave the state?
Yeah.
This is it. This is what we earned because of
Right.
winter,
I know. It's cool. It's interesting though. I was gonna say, John, if your parents were here, they'd say it's way too cold, but like 58 in the sun with no breeze or light, it's just super comfortable. It's just really pleasant. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, our family's finally getting over the seasonal colds, it seems like. Now that we're, outside, more fresh air, getting in the sun, it's like people are finally getting healthy again. So yeah, this is a great time to be here. If for the rest of the United States, the leaves are just now starting to come out on trees. So
Yeah.
for the rest of you who have had leaves on trees for a month or two, if not longer, it's finally arrived here in Minnesota. So it's a great time to be outside and enjoy the weather with your friends and family.
hmm
Yeah, so for our listeners, I want to just real quickly give off a little recommendation. I was talking to these guys before we hit record about a new documentary called Family Tree, which really highlights two families in the South that are thinking about generational wealth and managing things for the long-term vision and having goals. And there's a lot of parallels and overlaps between that and what we teach here on the Family Banking Show. So if you're interested, certainly reach out to one of us or just do a quick Google search, Family Tree documentary, and you'll be able to find it on Amazon Prime is probably the most likely location. All right, guys. Well, as we kick off this episode, what we're talking about today is a single premium or a single paid up edition is what it's called, the SPUA. John, why don't you go ahead and define it quickly for us, and then we'll talk about when is it appropriate for us to consider.
Sure. So this is a question that comes up often, and it's actually a question that I had when I was first exploring IBC, where you are thinking long term, right? You had the right mindset, you had the right education, you understand maybe what that annual premium is going to look like for your family. But then you have maybe another consideration of, well, what if I do X? And for me, it was the sale of a property, of a rental property, and now have, in addition to what I want to contribute in my policy, a lump sum of cash. And what is the best way to optimize this for infinite banking? We know people with business exits and large liquidity events. We know plenty of inheritance, even plenty of situations where on top of what maybe your ordinary earned income is, and you want to count that towards your scheduled premium, you have this lump sum. And that's a great question. I had the same question. And so I figured it would be helpful for us to talk through just what are your options, maybe what are some trade-offs, what are some considerations towards optimizing that lump sum.
Yeah, this is really what Nelson Nash would teach about a windfall event. You're flush with cash because of something that's happened. And so what do you do with this large lump sum? So we have this option that we're talking about today is paying upfront one time, if you will, a single premium payment, and it's all going towards paid up additions, which is going to increase the cash value in the early periods of your policy. Guys, is this something that anyone can add on to their policy? Or maybe another way of asking the question is, I've got a policy that's 4 or 5 years old. Is this something that I can do?
Yeah, it's something that you do at the beginning of the contract. It's when you first, that's one of the limitations you might say of it is is when you first create the contract, you work with one of us that you have a lump sum or a windfall that you want to take advantage of and place in your policy. We start that. That's part of the creation of the policy at the beginning. It gives you that flexibility to put that cash in. It's not something you can do after the fact that you want to add more into it. So yeah, it's something to consider at the beginning if you're thinking about starting a policy with us and you have some extra cash and you want which will buy you more immediate death benefit, which then gives you immediate cash value that you can, borrow against. Then we want to get that set up at the beginning.
Okay, so if this is somebody who's got, like in this example here, $100,000, they would have to open up a new contract most likely. If you have an existing IBC policy and you have these windfall events, our recommendation to you is make sure you've paid off any existing policy loans first
Right.
before you even ideally open up a new policy. So this is a great idea for somebody who's just starting out or is looking to expand their system. Maybe it's not necessarily on my life, but it could be on a family member's life. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to get the benefits of having that early cash value that I could use a policy loan for. Guys, are there any alternatives to the SPUA? Meaning, if I've got this windfall, what are the other options that I should be considering as well?
So an appealing alternative option is what's called a premium deposit fund, PDF, we call it very easily. And what that does is it parks that windfall, that lump sum of cash, into a separate account held by the life insurance company, earning a guaranteed competitive interest rate, like probably higher than any high yield. Right now it's much higher than most high yield savings accounts. And what it does is gives the life insurance company the those funds to fund additional years of premium for your policy. So for round numbers, we're using the 100K as the lump sum windfall.
Mhm.
That 100K is going to be earning interest, and say you have a 10K policy. At a minimum, it's going to pay for 10 years of premiums and most likely more because it's earning interest. And it is a taxable earning on the PDF. We always like to just clarify that this part is not tax-free, but although there are tons of tax mitigation things you can do overall, but you earn on that lump sum. It pays premiums essentially at a discount for you in auto pay, essentially. You have the freedom, if you ever want to withdraw the funds in that PDF, but then that option will no longer be available. So that's the one extra thing as well is if you need those funds and maybe you're really interested in borrowing against it or using them for an opportunity or something in your life, and you try to withdraw, the implication is that you cannot refill that PDF. So like we're saying, there's trade-offs to even the SPUA compared to PDF and so forth. So that's just another option that I remember considering myself. I ended up going with the PUA option, actually spread it out over 2 years, and it worked out great. And captured those funds as cash value, compounds for the rest of my life, increases the death benefit, and obviously is available as for cash value for policy loans.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the things that I really enjoyed about when I was having a hand in designing one of my policies was I was actually able to do an SPUA each year for the first 3 years. And the reason why I did that is I was assuming that through other commissions and bonus structures that I was going to increase my income, but it wasn't going to come in the form of salary or in a paycheck. It was going to come as a lump sum at the end of the year, those sorts of things. And so if you're a sales professional or an executive to where you get a large bonus maybe at year end, if you hit your targets, whatever, these SPUA riders and the PDF that John has just talked about would be great options for you there. If you are at a company where maybe they don't share in like a stock purchase plan or something like that for their employees, but you still get a bonus at the end of the year or a large commission check, something like that, this is a great opportunity for you to park it somewhere where you're going to get great tax advantages and it's going to grow and compound and help you and your family um, extend that wealth into future generations. Guys, are you thinking of any other professions maybe that this would really make a ton of sense for somebody along those lines of maybe a high commissions earner or something like that?
Or I was just gonna say like entrepreneurs and like real estate investors also have such variations in their income. They could have a really good quarter, maybe medium quarter, and then just kill it the rest of the year. And so, creating capacity, and that's something that you brought up, Derek. That's really important is that it's flexible. Like you can choose not to fund this single premium that you build room for. But if you do have that increase in income, then you're absolutely encouraged to fund it. So you have the control there.
And I'd add too, one of the advantages of working with, John and Derek and I, if you do have a lump sum you want to put in, is there are some considerations you need to make. Like the amount of a lump sum you put in can then affect potentially how much premium you can put in. So needs to be designed correctly to avoid, the MEC limit. And so you want to make sure you're working with an IBC practitioner, someone who's got the understanding and training of how to design one of these policies correctly, so you can put in the amount you want. We'll talk to you to make sure like what you can then afford in terms or what you want to put in for premium each following year to make sure we can get that balance correct, get that ratio correct, so you can have as much cash value available, much paid up addition or PUA at the beginning in terms of that lump sum, but then ensure that then you have a premium that makes sense for you for the rest of the policy. So it's just something to consider and a reason why you want to reach out to one of us to help you with that.
Yeah, another option that I want to kind of expand upon a little bit, John, you were talking about entrepreneurs. And this is something that could be done still if you're an entrepreneur and you've got
Mhm.
employees under you, maybe high-level managers that you want to insure or that the business ideally wants to insure. Maybe like you've explained, the business has done really well one year, it's flush with cash, would like to get life insurance on their employees for many different reasons why, and I think we've talked about those in other episodes. You could still use this single premium paid up additions feature here that we've talked about as the business, or the business could fund that and use that cash value for whatever opportunities that they had if it was purchasing more equipment or expanding the business, something like that. But it's not I want to highlight the fact that this isn't something that's only done at the family, you and me level, but this could be done at a corporate entity as well.
Mhm.
Any other comments there, guys, or anything else really that you'd like to mention about this SPUA?
That it's an art. This truly is an art that we love designing
Mhm.
these policies. We love optimizing these policies. We're kind of the nerds behind the scenes, but that's the importance of working with someone that knows what they're doing. Like, just having an all base kind of standard, stock company policy, like that's not going to in any way be built for something like we're talking about right now, where you have a windfall or a lump sum of cash.
Right.
So that's what we love optimizing. It's almost like a game for us to be able to
Hmm.
just do it as optimized as possible and in a unique, whatever unique capacity it is.
Yep, exactly. Then one in turn, and also we're talking about just windfalls in general, and where do you put the windfall? One of the great things about having a whole life policy that will do a design for you, and is I'm going to have a windfall this summer. We're selling a rental property, and I get a chance to put that windfall. In my case, I'm going to put it in against policy loans that I have outstanding. So then I basically just refilled up my tank, so now I can use that capital for some other opportunity that comes down the road. So just you can have this single pay up addition that you can build up your death benefit immediately, which gives you cash value that you can leverage. You can then use that for life, for emergencies, for large purchases, for opportunities, which then opens up more room. So another windfall comes along, you just fill it back up and keep on reusing it. So
Yeah.
just every time an event like this happens in my life, I'm like, I'm just so thankful I have my policies, because it gives you a place to park cash, have it grow uninterrupted, and then you can take advantage of an opportunity and then fill it right back up again. So it's the best vehicle for that.
Yeah, and I remember listening to David Stearns, Nelson Nash's
Hmm.
son-in-law, who now runs the Nelson Nash Institute, that there's the 5 pillars of IBC that Nelson would commonly share. And David would shared that like maybe towards the end of his life he was going to add a sixth, and that sixth was going to be prepare for windfalls.
Mm.
And especially for Nelson coming to the end of his life, he was preparing his family for probably a significant windfall that they were going to receive.
Yeah.
And I remember he tells the story that he had a conversation with Nelson, and Nelson asked, how much do you have out in policy loans right now? And David was like, I'm not the most honest banker maybe right now. I have a very large chunk, outstanding in policy loans. And Nelson said, great, prepare for this windfall that's probably going to come. And he was very realistic and knew that, we all live until we don't, and
Yeah.
had David prepared for that. So that's the lesson for all of us to prepare for windfalls.
And then if you to add to that, John, if you look at this long term and you look at this as a legacy move, which is that's why we love infinite banking whole life or early cash value whole life, is because you have all these opportunities and ways it can be used. So if you start building up policies in your family and your children have policies, and then when you graduate and they happen to have policy loans out, it just fills it back. It just cascades down through generations.
Yes.
And the money has a place to go, and it's always growing, and you can always leverage it. And if you don't have a whole life and early cash value whole life policies in place with your family, the dollars will just get lost, and you won't get them back. And so if you have these in place, you have built-in simple mechanisms for the money to flow to, and it's just such a benefit to your family that it's just we want to try to get people to get there to think about that long term.
hmm Yeah, and I guess maybe last point here, and this is more of a technical detail. If we design this policy for this $100,000 windfall, what if my windfall is only $70,000 or $80,000? Am I required to do the full 100,000? Do I have to find where that money's going to come from, or what happens if I can't reach the limit that we had set?
Do what you got. You could do up to the 100,000, and it's creating that space for it. But otherwise, you are in control of how much up to that limit you fund in that first year.
Yeah. So it's not required. You don't have to stress out if you sell this property and it doesn't give you you didn't get the full asking price that you were looking for. It's okay. You don't need to stress and panic. Just do as much as you can towards that limit. All right, guys. Well, great comments. Hey, and if our listeners are interested in learning more about how to design policies and to get started with their family banking system, please reach out to us at thefamilybankingshow@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to schedule time to meet with you and your family. All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.
Thank you for joining us. If you're interested in a conversation about anything we've discussed, you can find our contact information in the show notes below.
And subscribe, follow, and leave a review to help spread this message and to help families across the country discover the generational blessing of IBC. May God bless you, and we'll see you next time.